Hello, guys. Welcome back. So I'm recording this pretty late at night, but Loki's giving me the push of do it now while you have it, because I got 11:11 on the clock earlier, and he's like, do it now, you have it, this is important stuff. Yes, baby. Then later on, sometime we can play guess which Saint Loki was, but let me explain. I was just thinking, and I was talking to him because you guys know that I've been with the channel for a while. All my best spiritual stuff comes in the bathtub. I don't know why, but it does. And I said, the Catholic Church, and we know they did this, they took a lot of gods and made them into saints. Gods and goddesses made them into saints. And they also would do things like take a place where a god was worshipped and they would put saints there. And I was talking to Loki and he's saying, well, reason it out. Come on, reason it out. I said, well, I'm sure in a way it was a relief to go from being a god to being a saint. Suddenly they weren't in charge of everything, it wasn't their responsibility. It must have been a relief. And it meant they were good. They weren't this bad old god that, could no longer be worshipped. They were a saint. So they kind of won out. They were good. It's like La Santa, wants to be seen as a good girl. She wants to be a good girl and be seen as a good girl. A lot of them, especially if they got to get that saint status, they don't want to go back to being God sometimes. It's really upsetting because they're good, as long as they're within the church context. You see them as good and holy and pure. They like that. They might not agree with church theology, but being seen as good, they like. And I get, yeah, I'm back here. So we were reasoning that out and we were talking to each other. And although he is happy and I'm happy with everything that Asmodeus Company had us do, we are parting ways for a while. With Asmodeus, not with Loki. Basically, Asmodeus had kind of been getting more and more erratic lately. And I went and I was reading the list today from the certain book, the goat book. And I'm just shaking my head, and I'm saying to Loki, I'm saying they made some of these names up. These are sounds a cat makes is what some of these names are, and half of them have the same description. Do you see that? And he's like, I see that. I said, how can 3 different demons have the same exact description, look the same exact way? I don't know. Sounds like I make stuff up to me. And it was just, we've been trying for over a year with them. And basically the way Asmodeus wants to be seen and been treated, I'm not comfortable with, I'm never going to be comfortable with. And I finally went to Loki today and I said, and I did this, I think from the right place is what Loki wanted. I said, I can't do this, Loki. I said, I'm too goddamn old. I think half the stuff I find, and I'm not trying to be offensive to people, is people being silly or emo or edgelord. I said, I can't find a way that makes both, Asmodeus happy and me happy. I would be more happy and comfortable to try to figure out, the old god thing. He doesn't want that. He's very much in with the demon lifestyle with me. With you, it might be different. It might be a Deva or something. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend it's okay. I can't pretend I wasn't raised Catholic and they don't all still slightly give me the willies. I had that for the longest time with the Voodoo Loa, but I had the advantage of not growing up in an area with Voodoo, so eventually got over it. Had that coming into, paganism from Catholicism, but eventually got over it. And as I was coming over, he's like pushing for me to tell you, when I was coming over, I still have my old Book of Shadows somewhere, I would have this pyramid so I could come over, and God was at the top because I was still talking to God, and like angels and saints were somewhere up there. Not as high as God, but somewhere up there, and then all the other gods were just a little bit less, and I would look at this pyramid and like look up at God, kind of, you know what I mean? Be like, okay, this is okay, right? You're still on top, you're still number one. God didn't seem to have a problem with it. Jesus didn't seem to have a problem with it. As I've told you guys before, never saw the God or the Jesus of the church, thankfully. But, I started to have more and more problems with church theology, so I got out of church and I could never go back. I've looked at the history of the church and went, yee, I could never go back. But, we were talking today and I said, if I had grown up in a loving church, I would still be there. I would still be there if they had accepted gay people. And, if they came out today and they said, we accept gay people, we've got to admit we're wrong. We translated the Bible wrong on purpose, which they did, which a lot of people did. The original text read, men shouldn't bother little children, what the fuck wrong with you? It had nothing to do with two grown-ass men getting it on. It had to do with creepy dudes hanging around ancient playgrounds is what it had to do. And I got, amen, sister. So that's what the text was about. And there were also texts about, don't rape people. What the fuck is wrong with you? Obviously, they changed the translation so they could get away with things. But, then today I had just like reached the end because I'm not working with the demons now because they all agree. They all agree. We can see I'm just never going to hit that comfy, cozy feel with them, for extended periods of time. And if you've tried over a year and a day, you probably ain't going to hit it. This thing came up about these people, atheists and agnostics, and that talking to a preacher of all things. And, at least the preacher kept it real. And she says, well, the problem with religion is they're made up by humans. She believes in God, obviously, thankfully, as a preacher, she does. And she believes in Jesus, but, the religious part that is, made up by people. And she says, well, what she has found is that when people have lost their faith, it's because they had a bad religious experience or they had a lot of questions and nobody would ever answer their questions. And she said, of course, as a pastor, if she saw an opportunity to bring people back, of course she would. That's literally her job, to pasture the flock. And Asmodeus and I are just like deeply incompatible on stuff like that. Like my friend had sent down two calendars. In fact, I called her and I thanked her. She can be really sweet and angelic, or she can be hell on earth. May the odds be ever in her favor. But of course, the calendar she sent down was a Christian calendar. And it hit me the wrong way. They always do. It's like some people see them, they're like, oh, so spiritual. I love Jesus. And I see them and I'm like, no, bad God of the Bernie place. Probably has to do with growing up Roman Catholic. And, I would never show children the pictures and that they showed us growing up of like the saints being tortured in full color and everything. And, being told you're gay, you're going to hell, and getting all these graphic descriptions of hell and what God's going to do to you. And my father used to hang this scary ass crucifix in my room. He had it hung in my room and I was not allowed to move it. I kept trying to hide Jesus. Catholics have the scariest ass stuff. Like, you're a little baby girl, right? And Jesus hanging there like this on your wall. And it was the scariest, most frightening looking Jesus. He looked like he just got out of Auschwitz. He was like starving and thin. He was beaten and bloody and wearing a crown of thorns. And I was scared of it. I was frightened Jesus was going to come down off that cross and hurt me. Pray because we had a priest tell us that that's what Jesus was going to do to us. And he wasn't exasperated. He really told us that. And that damn thing kept falling off the wall. And at first, when my brother was here, you could blame my brother because he would have done that. But growing up Catholic gives you issues, yo. But then after that, it was just like there's probably like vibrations from being over a mine, or that house was never really a house or whatever. But one time that I think it's pronounced Inri or whatever the hell it is, King of the Jews, that little sign that's above Catholic crosses, well, that fell off when it fell off one time. I was freaked out by that thing. Now, I don't know why. There's probably a scientific reason stuff used to jump off my walls. It wasn't just a cross, by the way. Pictures and everything would fall off, and you would have swore this house was legit haunted. The only thing I can think of is I told somebody one time, I don't know why this popped back into my head, but I swear to the gods, I told someone, I don't know if it was college, and I just remember like right now, because like it's like my memory's coming back lately. I said, that kept falling off the wall. It was the damnedest thing. And this girl looked at me, and I don't know what faith she grew up in. She says, oh, that was Jesus. And I said, what? And she says, Jesus doesn't want you to be sad or scared of him. He didn't want the cross on the wall because it made you upset. And I just kind of looked at her. But, that was her outlook. So, Loki and I are just tidying up the house, and the demons are out because we're never compatible. And you should never work with somebody, for one thing, out of place of fear. It's why, so many people leave the church. It's why so many people leave any religion where I love you, baby, but if you piss me off, I'm burning you forever. Most people leave that. Most people leave that. It's why people step into heathenism for 5 minutes and then they meet the Brawlhalla dudes and then they run away from that because if you're not a badass warrior, Odin's going to hate you or some kind of horseshit. Odin could give zero fucks what you are. If he likes you, he likes you. Again, yeah. And it's kind of a thing of I think the church started out thousands of years ago, possibly with the best intent. We don't know, but I think they started out but it's made by humans and that's why it's so messed up at this point. But Loki wanted me to share that. And Loki's the god of he will always be perpetually cleaning up your past and your present and your future too. And if he sees something isn't working and you're ready to admit it won't work, you can't keep saying, okay, I'll work on it. Okay, I'll work on it. He will wait until you come to Loki and go, it's broke, fix it. Then he will fix it because he's Mr. Fix It. We have Mr. Fix It Fox over there for him. He's Mr. Fix It, and he's like, this is clear, this is broken. And Loki's the first god that if you needed angels and saints and going to church and being covered in the blood of Jesus, he would take you there because Loki will do what it takes to get things fixed. He's really not picky about theology, and as I have been talking with him, like the gods really don't care. The gods really don't care. There are gods, walking around today as Catholic saints that are like just happy with it. La Santa is a folk saint, she's a folk saint to the people. The church won't accept her, but she's very happy to be seen as a saint because that means she's a good girl and it means she gets statues and food and incense and parties and everything else. They like being seen as good. That's the main point. They really don't care if you call them a saint or a god or, a spirit or whatever. But, Loki was pushing me to share that, and it feels super timely, I think, for a lot of us, because as we're entering 2021, I think we're all trying to clean out all the garbage of the year no one will mention, and we want it cleaned out. And I think from the big bump, I think some of us got from, we got 600. I mean, in one way, yeah, okay, we got 600, but in another way, oh God, we wanted 2,000, right? May the gods be ever in your favor and you didn't spend that 2,000, but there's very little we can do right now except to have faith with whoever you work with, Loki, God, Jesus, Buddha, the tree outside. It doesn't matter as long as you have faith. Just find where your faith is and hold on to that. I'm not psychic. I'm not psychic, but I'm feeling it's probably going to be another bumpy year because humans we got to make things difficult. That doesn't mean to have despair. We should always have hope, but until we get this COVID thing licked, until we start treating people equally, until we do a lot of other stuff to clean our own houses, metaphorically and physically and everything else, we're gonna have some turbulence. But just have faith in Loki and keep working with him and whatever he suggests do. And he's like, you and the demons aren't compatible, and I just wanted you all to come to that reasoned conclusion, but for the right reasons. That's the aggravating thing of working with Loki. It not only has to be the right decision, but it has to be the right decision for the right reason. And I had reached this decision plenty of times, but I had to reach it for the right reason of we just can't do this. I can't change who I am. It's like trying to go from being gay to being straight. That ain't never going to happen. It wasn't a choice. So, this isn't a choice either. This is just how I'm fundamentally built. And no matter what I do, it's not going to change it. And he's like, fine, now that you've told me and now that you've admitted up to it and you're like, I truly can't change this no matter what I do. It's okay. And he was watching me have damn near panic attacks today and he wasn't saying anything and I could feel him. And Asmodeus kind of just like gracefully bowed to me and he's like, I can see we're doing more harm than good. And that's not what the demons wanted to do in my life. They came to liberate, they came to get rid of the scary Catholic stuff, which helped a lot. They came to help me think about what are my belief systems and what do I think of the universe. And it's a sign of faith in each other that you can step away from the relationship and say, we can't do this right now, maybe later. Maybe later. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.